Welcome everyone to another edition of IAG's Trade Talk. My name is Ben Blaschke and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Danny Tu, General Manager of Cherry Interactive. Danny, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to be live.
Great. Today we're going to talk about we're looking at opportunities that operators have, and specifically online operators and platform providers to target audiences and to look outside of China. Of course, everybody thinks China all the time for their customer base, but doing so, I guess they're potentially missing out on some other opportunities there. Before we delve into that, Danny, you've got an abundance of experience in the Asian gaming industry, not only in online, but land-based as well. Can you give us a bit about your background?
Absolutely, yes. I'm not going to bore you with details. I'll just give you a summary of what I've done all this while. Actually, I started off as a hotelier. And then while I was in the hotel, I met one of the casino owners in the hotel. And then he invited me down to Cambodia. That was my very first place where I started off in the casino industry. So from Cambodia, it was land-based all the while. And I've been moving to a couple of land-based casinos and managing a couple of land-based casinos, predominantly in Southeast Asia and also in South Asia. And then it was in year 2016 that I started to get into this online gaming business. And I have never looked back since then. It's been very, very interesting. I've actually dealt with game suppliers, regulators, all sort of different different business opportunities, and then it's exciting. I just felt that internet gaming or the iGaming industry is very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's certainly an exciting time now too. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, it's probably not a great time for a lot of land-based, but for the iGaming industry as a whole, it's boom time, really, isn't it?
Yes. And one of the perks of being in online gaming is that I get to grow my hair and I get to keep my beard, and then without worrying being lectured by my boss if I go into a casino without trimming my beard or cutting my hair. See, so yeah, that's one of the big perks of being in the iGaming industry.
Exactly right. Yeah, gaming operators around the world have long had an obsession with China, but outside of China, what other opportunities exist?
Actually, I think the biggest blunder made by a lot of the gaming operators, especially from the western part of the world, is that they think that China is Asia. That is actually a myth. Yes, China is part of Asia, but it does not represent all the opportunities that are present in the iGaming industry in Asia. So if you look at Asia as a whole, let's divide them into three main regions. I always like to go with the three main regions, even though there's one more region, which is Central Asia, which I'm not very, very familiar with. But the other three regions I am pretty familiar, and I'm going to expand more into these three regions. The three main regions are: one, Southeast Asia. So the second one will be South Asia, and the third one will be East Asia. So these are actually, if you look at the population itself in this area, it's actually very, very big. It's huge, and then there are 48 countries in total in Asia. So it's a big area, and then it's covered with many people. Let's take China and India for example. Both countries actually, if you add them up, they have 2-point-something billion. Yeah, I think nearly 3 billion of population, and to me that's half of the world really. So there are plenty of opportunities in this region actually.
So operators that are focusing too much on China, probably making quite a big mistake. They're ignoring a massive market through that, as you said, those other 47 countries through Asia.
Absolutely true, because I think a lot of them have actually missed out on opportunities, interesting opportunities. let's take Southeast Asia for example. There are two countries which I think is booming, is doing very well in this what do you call it, in this particular region, is actually Indonesia and Thailand. If you look at the numbers that they are churning out of these two countries, it's actually very, very interesting. The numbers are huge. Let's take Indonesia for example. Indonesia has a population of maybe 280 million. I think it's nearly 300 million, and that's a lot of people in one country. So if you are able to enter into a country like Indonesia, you have the players available. It's just that how you present your products or your what you have to the audience in Indonesia. And in Thailand, people in Thailand, they love to gamble. Actually, they love to play card games. They love to play slots. They love to do a bet on some sports. So what they have been doing all this while is that, because Thailand is surrounded by bordering countries like Laos and Cambodia. These are the few countries which the Thai will actually travel to because these are land-based casinos, the legitimate casinos, and then they will gamble there. But since iGaming has gone into Thailand, a lot of the Thais are actually starting to explore into iGaming, and then I would say that the land-based casino is more of for the older generations. The younger generation nowadays, they like to sit at the comfort of their home, open up their device, and start to play some games on their devices. So that is the main difference between land-based and iGaming.
So, I mean, let's keep looking at Southeast Asia in terms of the general trends of, you know, what players like to play and how they play. What would you sort of describe as the main traits of those Southeast Asian players?
Southeast Asian is a very, very diverse market. So let's focus on in a country called Thailand. And Thailand is one country which is very, very unique. Why am I saying that? There is a transgender market in Thailand which is raking in huge amount of money. They have a huge amount of followings there, and I would say that 25% of the GGR, the gross gaming revenue for online gaming in Thailand, actually comes from this gender called the transgender. So it's huge amount of money. But in Southeast Asia in general, I would say that they are more of the medium players. I would say that a lot of them actually spend a lot of time on their devices. I would say these are time on device players, and they are not really the big players when compared to East Asia, because East Asia in general, they are the so-called VIP players. They are actually very gung-ho when they actually play on games like baccarat. But whereas the Southeast Asian player, they are a little bit more controlled. They are a bit more relaxed compared to the East Asian. But over the years, I've seen that a lot of them have actually upped their ante, and then they have actually increased their bets. So they are catching up, but they are still quite a distance away when compared to East Asia. But they are definitely improving in the bet size amount.
Well, we'll talk about East Asia, of course, again in a moment. But let's talk quickly about South Asia as well, in terms of the main countries we're looking at there, and also again their sort of main playing trends. How would you describe South Asia?
Okay, South Asia actually comprises of countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, as well as Nepal. This group of people, they love to be in a community. Therefore, the card games actually is their main game in countries in South Asia. If you go into India, you will hear card games like Tin Party and Anda Bahar, and even Rummy. These are the three main games which I will say almost all the Indians will know how to play. So in order to be successful in this region, you need to be coming up with games that is what do you call that, a community-based games where everyone can participate. They like to sit down over a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, chit-chatting and start to play the games. So it's a very community-based games. So this is something for people to ponder upon, and it's good that you take that into into consideration when you enter into countries in South Asia.
So it sounds like those players sort of don't mind having a bit of that skill element involved there as well.
Absolutely, I think skill-based games are actually very much a key traits of the countries in South Asia. And then there's one sport in particular that they are crazy about, which is cricket.
Yeah.
So each time there is a cricket season, you will see that people are glued to the television, and then they start betting like nobody's business. It's amazing by just looking at the sheer amount of betting that is being placed in cricket games. Even for virtual cricket games, basically they are playing. They don't care whether it's virtual or live. Of course, live will have like a big portion of the bets, but even like virtual, if it's cricket, if it's a cricket game, people will actually love it, and then they will spend a lot of money on these cricket games.
Yeah, I think a regulated sports betting industry in India is a whole nother conversation, isn't it? But
yep.
One day. Okay, so quickly on East Asia as well. I mean, as you said, East Asian players known for high volatility, I guess, and loving a bit of a gamble.
Yes, actually, I think culturally, if you look at the Chinese, they are actually very gung ho. It's either what do you call that? They win big or they lose big. Even if you look at the culture of the Koreans as well as the Japanese, because I've actually worked in Vietnam before. I've managed a couple of the casinos or slot clubs in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, there is a big group of people that comes from Korea, and these Koreans, when they play, is either all in or basically either I win everything or I lose everything. There's no in between. They will go all out with their betting activities, or they will actually return home actually very happy with lots of winning, or they will lose without even a single dollar in their pocket. So that's how the players in East Asia behave.
Sure. So if we've got operators or platform providers that are looking at some new markets they might be interested in, but aren't really sure exactly what steps to take next, I mean, what steps should they be taking to target that market?
I think for Asia, I think the main thing is actually there are two main points here actually: trust and relationship. In order to enter into Asia, you need to build your trust here, and you need to have the relationship with the key a vital what do you call that, proponent. And then on top of that, you really need to understand the culture of the of this market, because let me give you an example. Like if you go to a country like Vietnam, or even Thailand, or where else? There are a lot of countries in Southeast Asia that a lot of them don't really speak English. So if you go in with a product which, for example, is predominantly for the Western market, that's a recipe for disaster. You need to be able to localize the game. You need to be able to localize the language. You need to be offering them in their local currencies. These are some of the key crucial points which you have to look into. So these are the minor details which the operator needs to look into, because from what I see, in Europe, there are actually a lot of big operators which come into Asia, and then the problem is that they don't really listen to what the locals are telling them. So they lose out big time on the potential of what Asia is able to bring. If they actually give a little bit more thoughts and a little bit more focus on the small details, they have a good chance of succeeding in Asia actually.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not from on a similar sort of tap to that. I mean, from a player's perspective, what are players generally looking for when they're trying to decide, you know, what games to play and where to play them?
Okay, this one about this topic, I can actually expand on them for a few hours. Actually, that's because I'm right now I'm actually studying on the players. Okay, let me put it this way: in order for a player to choose, or hold on, sorry, let me rephrase that. In gaming industry, basically, players are the supplier are actually looking to grab the time of the players. So in order for the players to choose the game that they want to play, you have to look into two very crucial points. If you look at the movie industry, basically basically the movie goers now are very much glued to Netflix. Why? Because they can sit at the comfort of their home and they can fast forward and they can rewind the movie that they are watching. But if you go to a cinema, you cannot do that. So if you miss one part of the movie, because if you go to the restroom, that's it. You cannot ask them to slow down or repeat the content. And then the second thing that the gaming industry is competing with is actually social media. So you can see a lot of people spending a lot of time on social media. They are broadcasting their story to the world. So obviously the content that you're offering to the market needs to have a good storyline. So these are the two main points which what do you call it, the supplier have to look into. It's very, very crucial.
So, I mean, we've looked at these three different regions across Asia. I've mentioned a few countries in particular. Are there any markets you see at the moment as being particularly attractive opportunities that might not have been fully tapped into at this stage?
I will say that the holy grail in Asia at this moment in time is actually India. Everybody is trying to get into India because of the sheer size of the population and, of course, the potential that is India itself, because it's huge, But the problem is this: everybody can say that they like to go into India, but they do not know what they're getting into. First and foremost, India is one of the most diverse countries in the world. I think they speak a few thousand dialects in India itself. So you must know where your target market is. That's the first thing. Second thing, the payment solution in India is actually a nightmare. If you do not know how to wiggle your way around, it's going to be a nightmare for a lot of the operators. So payment solutions in India is extremely expensive. The incoming funds and the outgoing funds is totally, some of the fees that they are imposing is totally insane. So these are some of the things that the operators need to look at. But India is definitely one of the holy grail of iGaming in Asia.
I guess we should mention that they're probably, people think about regulated markets, regulated online markets in Asia, and I guess they think Philippines at the moment because we read about Pogo so often. But can you give me a bit of a run through what the general regulatory state is across Asia as a whole? I mean, I don't expect it to go through every country, but just a bit of an overview of where things stand in some of the key jurisdictions.
Actually, in all honesty, if you ask me about Philippines, I still disagree with a lot of people that Philippines is regulated. Philippines is not really regulated. It is regulated, but it's not regulated. I'm sure you guys know what I mean here, because the regulation is that Philippines allow you to stream content out of the country, and as long as you do not target the locals. Obviously, things have changed, and then nowadays you can actually target the locals, but the rules are still very, very vague. So I wouldn't say that it's the best country in terms of rules and regulation. I think there's a lot of things to work on. But along the way, there are countries like Cambodia, which is, I would say, occupying one of the top spots in Asia in terms of the operators being stationed there. So I would say that these two countries, basically Philippines and Cambodia, they allow people to operate online gaming, but there are a lot of operators which is operating out of countries like even Malaysia, out of countries like Myanmar, out of countries like Sri Lanka. These are some of the countries which a lot of people are not aware of. But there is something very, very interesting that came up recently. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Dubai offering online gaming to a lot of operators. Yes, it's true, but there is one more place in UAE that is offering even a more complete solution, or even a legitimate license that is actually in Abu Dhabi. So this is something new. It's not out in the market yet, but I've seen the license myself. You are able to do business in Abu Dhabi, and you can be holding a lot of the licenses that is being offered, like RNG, which is the random number generator. You can do esport, you can get esport license, you can get player management, you can do your marketing office there, you can place your finance office there. There's a lot of activities that can be that can be conducted there legitimately without any issues. So Abu Dhabi is the new place that you should look at, and I think that is going to be the next happening spot after Philippines and Cambodia.
So that's your tip, Danny. Something to keep an eye on is movement in Abu Dhabi.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm not trying to sell out Abu Dhabi, but that is what is happening in Abu Dhabi. And that if any one of you is interested to know a little bit more, feel free to send in a question. You see.
Sure, we'll make sure that we put people onto you, Danny.
Yeah.
So just before we sign off, Danny, I mean, we've gone through quite a bit today, but any other final considerations for operators and platform providers to look at if they're looking to expand their Asian presence?
Absolutely. There's one thing which I look at, which is the importance of streamers in this industry. Actually, of late, you can see a lot of streamers and key opinion leaders. They are actually influencing a lot of the players in choosing which product they would like to play. For example, if I am a social media influencer with 1 million followers, I just need to appear on the social media without saying anything, but just by putting on the merchandise of the company that he or she is representing. You can see a huge shift or huge amount of traffic being generated from the followers into the platform of these gaming providers. So these are something which a lot of the operators are missing out, but this is definitely something which works in Asia. Second thing, if you look at some of the games that the provider are providing to the market, is important that you look into the bet size of the games. So having said that, the minimum bets for some of the game in Asia can be very, very low, but is because obviously Asia has the population. So you need to be very, very, very flexible with your bet size. And then if you look at the customer service support, is also very, very crucial. You make sure that you have customer service that speaks the local language, because it's very difficult for you to get, for example, a Thai or a Vietnamese or even an Indonesian to converse with you in English. They will be more comfortable conversing in their local language, and then they can put their point across. For example, if there is a problem with their game session, at least they can officially lodge a report to the operator, and then the operator can actually investigate the incident in a more transparent manner, and then in a manner that both parties will understand what is the problem, you see. So it's very crucial that you look into all these, like your support system, your what do you call that, your marketing strategy, your bet size of the games. All of these are very, very, very crucial.
Yeah, I think it's really good tips, Danny. And I mean, I think that the main takeaway from today is that Asia is a huge place. It's a very diverse place. Every jurisdiction is different, and in some jurisdictions like India, it's like multiple jurisdictions within a single country as well. So I guess that's something that operators need to be aware of when they're entering these places.
Yeah. Speaking about India, just to add on, do you know that actually India has quite a very, very mature gaming. It is a mature gaming country. Actually, if you go to places like Goa or even to Sikkim, you will see that actually people knows what gaming is all about, and then they have been in this industry for quite a while. Actually, even countries like Sri Lanka, a lot of people that didn't even know that Sri Lanka has casinos, but in reality, Sri Lanka has 5 legitimate casinos that has been in operation for the past 20 odd years. So these are some of the places which people need to explore to understand a little bit more. And even countries like Myanmar has tons and tons and tons of casinos. Laos, all these countries. When traveling is permitted, I think it's good that this interested investor can go to these places and do some survey and understand what these countries can offer to the market. So it's the road less traveled, but it's a very, very interesting path to travel to. And I've always enjoyed traveling to this all this part of the world, because there's always an element of surprise.
Absolutely, it's a fascinating part of the world, Danny. Danny, great to talk to you today. Thanks for chatting to me, and hopefully we can do this in person one day in a new time and a new world, new normal. But thanks again, and to all our viewers, we'll see you next time.